Released in August 1991, the Black Album, as it quickly became known, was an international hit, going on to sell over 15 million copies. Its secret was its radio-friendly songs and Bob Rock's heavy, clean production.
Commercial songs, because they were songs with melodies, albeit still driven by guitar. They also made a choice of working with a producer who was used to working on those sort of songs. Bob Rock, who'd worked with Aerosmith, he'd worked with Bon Jovi, he'd worked with a lot of the big commercial bands, Motley Crue. Therefore, he was a man who understood how to bring out the best in songs. That's what Metallica wanted.
Metallica spent a year with Bob Rock recording the Black Album. And looking back on that, you sort of understand why. Because it sounds so different from anything they'd done before. For starters, there was a huge bass track. He'd brought Jason's bass up, to the point where I think Jason was secretly quite pleased after the fiasco of the previous album.
Bob Rock did a great production job on it, and there's just some really good songs. I mean, that was probably the strength. You know, people like talk about all the brutal heaviness of Kill 'Em All. What happened was Metallica got better and better in their songs. I mean, you listen to Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets; those are just really, really good songs. Roots in metal, and it was still a heavy metal record.
Dollars in revenue and stamping their identity on the music scene forever. The band were now part of the rock.
The Black Album brought Metallica this whole new fan base. They had MTV exposure. Suddenly they weren't confined to the masses.
I think we made other people aware that heavier music was out there, and it was actually music. And that there were people that liked it. Whatever's popular doesn't mean it's good, basically. We opened the door, I think, once our underground following was so huge, you know, they wanted to see, they're calling MTV, where's the Metallica video? Who? You know, opened all these doors for grunge stuff, you know. It was more accepted on, you know, now you can't watch TV without seeing a commercial with some, you know, aggressive music in it. You know, 10 years ago, I would have flipped.
By the time the Black Album came out in the early 90s, Metallica could claim to be the biggest selling metal band of all time. They could claim it because nobody had had an album as big as the Black Album in strict metal. They were the biggest metal band in the world. Were they the greatest still? Difficult to tell, because by that point Pantera had come through and almost usurped their crown as the die-hard metal kings, whereas Metallica were now the mainstream metal gods. So there was a difference of opinion, and a lot of Metallica fans felt while the Black Album in its own right was a very strong record, it signified the end of their reign as the true money. In some ways were in a dip, at least in terms of artistic and creative force.
They were the best band, period, in their glory days. Even up to the Black Album, I still say they were one of the best bands around.
In a position where the world lay at their feet, while the metal band in the world was building beneath the surface.
We were on the road and we spent, that time was not one of inactivity, it was one of probably the hardest.
After the enormous Black Album tour, I think Lars and James in particular had started to burn out, and after some time out, they realised that they really needed to think carefully about the future of Metallica. Could they keep on knocking out these thrash metal albums or these radio-friendly heavy metal albums? And in fact, the decision they made when they came back in 1996 with Load was to take an alternative rock direction, which horrified lots of people.